Better scramble like an egg before you get folded like an omelet.
Ooh, that brother's floating in the air.
Howdy, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome. When it comes to guns in video games, and as well as the ooga booga weapons like the crossbows and bows, they're a little bit questionable and hard to balance in their own ways, because, while sure you can have like a powerful weapon like a crossbow that takes a lot of skill to use, but why use that when you could have like a rifle on your hand and maybe even a shotgun for that matter? Like, a lot of games, when they both have a crossbow and a gun at the same time, there's a bit of a hard, weird dynamic where one thing is good, but the other one is also good at that one thing, but it does a better job than the other, and it kind of creates this, like, weird dynamic where, is there really a purpose of using bows and crossbows? Not really, but that's besides the point. Dying Light 1 games in general kind of fixes that problem in certain ways, but not necessarily. Dying Light 1 bows and crossbows are not exactly great, let's be honest. They're fun to use, sure, but practically they're not that good, let's be honest. It's the same thing with guns. I'm still shocked the fact that people believe that guns in Dying Light 1 are good, which they're not. They fucking scale horribly on Nightmare difficulty, like they're so fucking pathetically bad that you might as well just use a stick with drop attack and do a better job at that shit. Again, the only weapon in Dying Light 1 that's good in the first place is the shotgun, and that's it. But then again, considering how Dying Light 1 is an easy game and hardly has any challenges, that's not really saying much, but that's besides the point. What about guns and crossbows and bows in Dying Light 2? Are they any different whatsoever? Are they a huge improvement? Yes, they are, and they're a lot more better than the first game, which is obvious, but people still are delusional and still think that the first game's better, but that's besides the point. Anyway, what are exactly the purpose of a bow and a crossbow when you have firearms on your hands? Do they actually have any differences? Do they have any like special traits about them? Yes, they do, and I'm going to talk about it in this video. So without wasting any more time, let's get straight into it. But the way we're going to be starting off with is let's go over with the firearms first, just so you can get a very good understanding on how each of them sort of functions. So let's start off with the pistol. The pistol is more on the weaker side, despite having a higher damage output compared to the other weapons like the rifle and the SMG, but it does make it up for it for having a very fast reload speed, so that's a good thing. Against like light enemies like renegades, like archers, and as well as flamethrowers, biters, and virals, they're very good against them, but it does require some bit of aim and precise to be able to kill them, but as long as you aim at a very general direction, you're going to be able to kill them very quickly. So yeah, but the low magazine capacity is going to definitely mess you up in some way. The SMG is a very good weapon when it comes to against crowded enemies or dishing out huge amounts of damage onto a singular target because of its high magazine capacity and rate of fire. It does have a slightly slower reload speed, but it's still very good in its own way. So yeah, the rifle is sort of a combination of the SMG and as well as the pistol, where it's powerful against like medium and light targets, but it's more of better against like larger targets because of its higher damage output. So yeah, you can use this on crowded enemies, but that's more or less the SMG's job, and it does it better that way. And then the rifle is more better against like volatiles, goons, and demolishers. The shotgun is a jack of all trades type of deal, where it is able to dish out huge amounts of damage in a very quick session, but has multiple problems. While sure it is able to demolish a lot of enemies very quickly, but it's not as effective as the crossbow, which I will talk about later. But the problem about the shotgun is the fact that it has a slower reload speed, slow rate of fire, and as well as unlike the other weapons where it's magazine fed, this one is tube filled, meaning that you have to constantly like reload one shell at a time to be able to fully load this thing. And let me tell you, whenever you're fucking surrounded by hordes of zombies and you're out of ammo, you are not fucking surviving that shit unless you have like a UV flare. So kiss your ass goodbye and just leave the weapon alone. The minute you're out of ammo on that thing, do not even try to reload it. Just switch to a different weapon and try to defend yourself. Because, my god, the reload speed is really slow when you're in a pinch. Holy shit. And you're gonna feel it like hell. And yeah, that's the basic premise of all the weapons. But what about the other ones? What about the bow and the crossbow? So, bows, despite being the worst ranged weapon in the game when it comes to damage output, it's not necessarily a offensive weapon that you should be using. You can use it, but compared to the others, it's one of the worst in the game because of its really shitty damage and its headshot damage. So, yeah, it's only good against like biters and like the more weaker enemies like the ranger and renegades, and as well as the flamethrower enemies. So those are the only good thing about it, that's it. But what makes it very special is its different arrow variants, like the infected arrow, fire arrow, shock arrows, and as well as the explosive arrows and many more, etc. But the primary ones that make the bow very powerful and effective is the explosive arrows and as well as the shock arrow. But the shock arrow is more or less the king of the ammo type, which I will get into now. But specifically, let's go over with the explosive one. The explosive one more or less staggers or knocks enemies on the ground by just simply shooting in a general direction. It causes a huge explosion to go out, and it causes enemies to take damage, but it also kind of knocks them back or pushes them on the ground in some ways. This is very good for whenever you need to push away enemies like biters, virals, renegades, and etc. And you want to like be able to give yourself a breathing room, or you want to grab something regardless of what it is very powerful, and because they're on the ground, you're going to be able to stomp them very effectively. It's not really good against like bigger targets like volatiles, goons, and demolishers, but that's kind of obvious to at this. Let's be honest. So yeah, the shock arrow is the best because of the fact that it's able to literally shock so many fucking enemies with one singular arrow. And I am not over exaggerating when I say that. If one person is affected by it, you bet your ass the others are going to be affected by it one way or another, because this thing is very fucking contagious, and holy shit, it is chaotic. Like, one enemy is affected by it, and the next thing you see at least like 30 infected already fucking affected by it somehow. And here's the thing, it also staggers volatiles for a brief period. You can't exactly stun lock them. The only time you can actually stun them again is if they're not affected by the elemental effect again. You kind of have to wait for the electricity to go away first, and then you can shock them again to stagger them. So yeah, you can't just continuously spam it and stun lock them, so be careful of that one. So as a way to give you a breathing room, or when it comes to like pushing away enemies, it is very powerful in its own way. So yeah, it can also help you as a way to hit enemies on the head much more easily, because enemies sort of like kind of stand still. They do kind of shiver a little bit, but they do kind of stand still, allowing you to hit heads more easily compared to it normally, where they like flam their entire body all around a lot like a fucking animal they are. But either way. But now there's the crossbow. Where does the crossbow come in? Shitload of damage. Even more than the shotgun. You might think, well, it has like 900 damage, what does it make it special? Brother, the fucking headshot damage that this thing is able to do is beyond what the shotgun is able to do, even if all the pellets can hit. You want to know how many times it takes to kill a volatile with the golden shotgun at max level with legend skills? At least 6 hits, or 5 hits. With the crossbow, it takes at least 4 hits on the head. And here's the thing. It has different variants of the bolts that are able to stun or knock the volatile on the ground. You know what other weapon or utility that is able to knock volatiles on the ground? It's the boomstick. Not the impact, not dropkick, no. It's the boomstick. The impact bolt is capable of knocking them to the ground to the point where you're able to literally stand on top of them and finish them off without a care in the world. And here's the thing. Compared to the shotgun, it has less ammo in its magazine, but here's the thing. It uses a magazine to reload, so the reload speed is faster, and secondly, it has a faster shooting speed. And the ammo is a much more easier to get. The problem with the weapons in Dying Light 2 is the fact that the only way you can really get ammo is through GRE labs or through army evacuation centers, where they have like military crates that contain ammo, but they're like randomized, so you can't exactly get the right ammo you want all the time, or you kind of have to go through Jay's mission to be able to get them, or like, you know, buy it from him in general, or you can get them from like zombies that are like armored or have military uniforms, but they don't really have a lot. But those are the ways. The bows and the crossbows, you can literally get them from the get-go, instantly. But first you kind of have to like side with the peacekeepers, which can be a little bit time-consuming, but once you get the crossbow, it's kind of stuck with you forever. Even if you do restart the game, the crossbow stays with you as a new game plus. So yeah, that's a very good thing. And because of the fact that you can craft them from the get-go, if you're in a pinch, like you can literally just like drop a UV flare or like stun away the enemies or run away, and then craft them right there and be back on the fight. And the crossbow, let me tell you, this thing is amazing. One taps biters, virals, human enemies on the head. The only enemy that does not get one tapped in the head would be like the Banshee, the Revenant, the Charger, the two-handed Renegades, and as well as the Volatile Tyrant, but those are kind of expected. But here's the thing. This thing can already kill them very quickly. Like, holy shit, if you can aim, and you're very good at landing headshots and you're very precise, the crossbow is the #1 best in the game. Even if you can't aim, and you can only aim for the body, it's still very good because the impact bolt exists. While sure, it is expensive than a normal bolt, but once you have enough resources that you can freely spend without worrying too much, it is very powerful. And even if you just simply stick with the basic bolts, it is still very powerful, and you're dealing a lot of damage very quickly in a short session. So it allows you to kill enemies very quickly without a care in the world. Even if you don't outright kill the enemies, if you instantly switch to your melee weapon, like a powerful melee weapon, even after you ran out of ammo, you still dish out more damage than if you normally started off fighting them with a basic attack with a melee weapon, because the crossbow is more or less a weapon that is able to literally delete the enemy's health in a very quick session without a care in the world. But here's the problem about this. The crossbow requires you to be very precise. It is so accurate that you have to be very precise, because even if your crosshair is a centimeter away from their heads, you're not hitting it. It's not as forgiving as in Dying Light 1, where it kind of like automatically like hits their head for you. It doesn't work like that. You have to be very precise, and because of how often the enemies move their body around, it kind of makes it hard for you to be able to hit their heads. But then there's the impact bolt comes in and just pretty much removes that feature entirely. So yeah, bows and crossbows are powerful, and they literally just make the guns completely obsolete. But then again, guns are still good in their own ways, and it's good for those that can't really aim well and just want a very solid weapon that is able to dish out huge amounts of damage without punishing themselves. The crossbow punishes you for not being very accurate, and that's the only really problem about it. Again, you have to be very precise with this to be able to kill enemies very quickly. And even if you can't, it's still good. Like I said, the different bolt variants can assist you in some ways. The same thing with the bow with its shock arrows and exploding arrows. So yeah, in conclusion, crossbow is one of the best damage dealing weapons in the game because of its very high headshot damage, and because of its different bolt variants, it's just powerful. Same thing with the bow, where it is a very good utility for when it comes to crowd control or pushing away enemies. Guns are good in their own ways, but they're kind of lackluster compared to the crossbow and as well as the bows. But they're still very good. I'm not saying they're terrible, but they're good. But compared to the crossbow and as well as the bow, it is kind of lackluster on certain areas. But I still like using them because of the way they sound. So yeah, am I gonna be using crossbows? No, because I can't fucking aim for shit. So what? You think I like using the crossbow? No, because I can't fucking aim, my guy. So yeah. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention about the Scorpio and the Brazier Cannon, so let's briefly talk about them. Scorpio is just terrible. Sure, the extra damage may seem good, like it might be able to help you on certain occasions, but no, the very slow reload speed, the very slow rate of fire, and only having one harpoon, and as well as you can't even pick them back up, and it's also very expensive. It's not really good, honestly. Like, just use the crossbow. And you might think the infinite stamina with the two-handed weapon variant of the Scorpio is good, but it's not, honestly. You're better off using a really shitty weapon that has modifications rather than this thing, because having no elemental effects or any sense of modification, it just makes the weapon worse. And the damage is not good, and the stamina consumption is just terrible, honestly. It's a shame that a really cool weapon is just kind of underwhelming. So yeah, don't even bother use it, just stick with the crossbow. The Razor Cannon, on the other hand, is a very powerful weapon. A lot of people shit on the Peacekeepers for saying that the words that they offer is terrible, which is not. They're one of the best when it comes to farming points or roaming around at night, or even getting infected trophies in general. Let me tell you, the Razor Cannon is one of the most powerful ranged weapons in the game. It even surpasses the crossbow because of how powerful it is. Well, sure, you are standing still, but if you have something that is able to keep enemies away from you, whether it be like a UV flashlight or a UV flare, then you're able to really shred enemies very quickly, even faster than the crossbow, and that's saying something. So if you found like an encounter and there's a Razor Cannon nearby, please use the damn thing, because it's going to kill enemies very quickly. So yeah, as a way to farm points or as a way to insta-kill enemies or even farming XP in general, it is very powerful. If you don't want to be a boring prick like searching for those videos where you kind of have to like use a glitch or an exploit to gain infinite trophies, then this is the best way to go. And yes, I am disrespecting those that glitch the game where they stand on like a specific spot to farm infected trophies. I don't find those people interesting, and I find them less valuable to the game because they're really taking a shortcut, and it's kind of pissing me off, honestly. Like, just play the game normally. Anyway, like I said, the Razor Cannon is very powerful and a weapon you should not be fucking around with, and when the time comes to use it, it is going to be powerful. And it's going to shred volatiles very, very quickly, so be ready for it. You're going to be making a last stand on that bitch. So, if you're someone that knows how to aim and can tap heads, go ahead, be my guest. But even if you can't, don't be afraid to use it, give it a try, it's going to help you a lot on your journey. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope this gave you a very good insight on how crossbows and bows work. And yeah, I hope you have a good day. Treat each other with respect. Show some love, kindness to another. We are one big happy family on the shit show. And without wasting any more time, I will see each and every one of you next time. Goodbye. Now get out of my house. Shoo.